The Iran agreement, it's a mess, it's expensive, and we're on the hook for billions, all of which can be used to finance terror. Israel is less safe, the bomb is more likely, and as I said, it's a mess. My next guest says that U.S. sanctions are losing their teeth when it comes to global business in Iran, even with the supreme leader. Plus, Secretary of State John Kerry is now admitting that the so-called trigger to reinstate sanctions if Iran breaks the arms embargo are not automatic at all. Dr. Emanuele Ottolenghi, Senior Fellow, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, joins me right now to discuss. It's good to speak with you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. That's one of the things that we were promised in this deal. Well, that if at any time Iran walks back on its assurances, on its promises that it's giving to the United States, then these sanctions, I think the phrase was they'll snap back. That was used by a couple of different authorities in Washington, D.C., but not so much, you say.
Well, snapback is a soundbite, but when you look at both the history of sanctions against Iran and at the text of the deal itself, it's not going to be so slick and fast. First of all, it took over 4 years from the beginning of the UN sanctions regime before Western sanctions were effective enough to make the Iranian economy feel the pinch. So even if the mechanism was swift and uncontroversial and not open to challenge in the deal, in that case, the minute that sanctions are reimposed, it would take a significant amount of time for their impact to be felt as it was on the eve of these negotiations. So basically what this means is that even in the best case scenario, the United States, the other Western powers, and the UN, the international community as a whole, have given away the most important leverage they had vis-a-vis the Islamic Republic in exchange for promises that the Iranians could break at any given time. Now, that is the best case scenario. The problem with the deal is that there is also a mechanism that is very convoluted, open to challenge, vulnerable to the exposure of intelligence on which a challenge would be based. And even if there is finally an agreement among all the powers involved to reimpose sanctions, the Iranians have an opt-out option. They can basically say, well, if you impose sanctions, we are abandoning the deal. So it doesn't bode well for verification, compliance, and implementation of this agreement.
And when their economy is kickstarted and back at full strength in just anywhere from 5 to 8 years, really, I mean, there's not going to be anything with which the United States can threaten them sanction-wise that I can see, especially now that they're delisting the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps.
Well, that's exactly right. Just to take Europe, which used to be the largest trading partner for Iran, on the eve of the beginning of the UN sanctions in 2006, the European-Iranian trade reached the peak of 25 billion euro, which is approximately $30 billion US dollars today. The ability of these economies to return to that level is in full display by the gold rush of European businesses running to Tehran to sign deals, even before the agreement is being implemented. We just saw this week the announcement of a €500 million deal signed by an Italian company with a subsidiary of the Supreme Leader's business empire. So you will see very quickly the Iranian economy picking up, growing fast, the Iranian regime being able to reap the economic dividends of this deal. And that will enable Iran also to make itself less vulnerable to future pressure.
So many things that weren't considered, or maybe they were part of the considerations, but just not really taken into serious account. Dr. Emanuele Ottolenghi, thank you so much for joining us. Senior Fellow, Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Find him at @Ottolenghi on Twitter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.